Namaskar. We were studying about karma in the last lecture. The doctrine of karma is the law for the soul. And we saw that the soul has to experience the results of its own actions. There is a bonding of karma, and the karma which are born carry the impression of the actions which are performed by the soul. And we also saw that there are 8 kinds of karma which inhabit different qualities of the soul. Means, the karmas are acting as a cloud, and they cloud the powers of the soul. They inhabit a shroud or shield the powers of the soul. Today we will study how these karmas are born. There are various types of karmas, and we will see how each one of them is bound with the soul. That is, we will study the causes of binding. The first one is Jnana-varaniya karma. How this karma is bound? I like to read what I have written. Spite or hatred against knowledge, concealment of knowledge from others, declining or failing to impart knowledge due to envy or jealousy, causing obstruction or impediments to others in the acquisition of knowledge, or disparaging or dishonoring the true knowledge, and so on. That means if we are trying to obstruct the ways and the processes by which one gains knowledge, or you gain knowledge, then you attract Jnana-varaniya karma. The Jnana-varaniya karma and the Darshana-varaniya karma they act like a couple, So when one is acting, the another one is also normally acting. So whatever causes are there for binding of Jnana-varaniya karma will also bond Darshana-varaniya karma. But there are some other reasons also for binding Darshana-varaniya karma, and these are, for example, causing injury to eyes and other sensory organs of others. If you are, damaging the organs of others, sleeping for abnormal periods. If you have a habit of sleeping for a long time, it's not good, it binds Darshana-varaniya karma. Picking faults and shortcomings of others, this is also a bad habit. Admiring and supporting false teachers, you should not support anything who is speaking is not speaking truth. Developing feeling of hatred and on seeing saints of other traditions, this of course should not happen. And developing atheist feelings, that also is a cause of binding Darshana-varaniya karma. Then there is Antaraya karma. Antaraya karma obstructs the activities of the soul. Soul has infinite power, spiritual power, and due to that, the soul carries out various kinds of activities. So if you are obstructing activities of others, then you attract Antaraya karma. So if you obstruct others in performance of deeds and deeds of charity, if he's doing something good and you prevent him doing that, you bind Antaraya karma. Then generosity, conferring of public benefits. If it's something good he is doing and you say, no, don't do it, you attract Antaraya karma. And helping those in difficulties, understanding works of public utility, and so undertaking works of public utility. All these obstructions will cause you a harm. If you are obstructing others, in fact you are harming yourself. You are binding antaraya karma. Then there is a mohani karma. As I told you in the last class also, this is one which is main enemy of pure soul, or the powers of the soul. There are two main subdivisions of this mohani karma. One is faith deluding or darshan mohani, and the second one is conduct deluding or charitra mohani. And we like to discuss these two separately. How do you attract karma or faith deluding karma? This is if you are attributing faults and shortcomings to the omniscient. This is something very serious. The omniscient speaks truth and speaks nothing except truth, and all his teachings are truth, and we should believe them. We must believe in the teachings of Tirthankar. And then if you are finding faults with such teaching, with such a person, who is nothing but truth, then you are naturally committing a fault, and you bind karma, which is faith deluding karma. And similarly, if you are finding faults and shortcomings with the scriptures are nothing but the written form of what Tirthankara has taught, or association with the ascetics, our sadhus or monks who represent Tirthankar now at this time. Tirthankar is not there, but the sadhus and monks are their representatives in effect, and we have to respect them. So if you find faults with such people, you are binding faith deluding karma. Then there is a conduct deluding karma. This is the second part, and this has two groups. One is kashaya, another is no kashaya. Kashaya is a very important term in Jainology or in Jain philosophy. It means patience. I probably described earlier also. And there are four types of these patience: anger, pride or ego, deceit or deceitfulness, and greed. What we call as a krodh, man, maya, lobh. These are four patience, which are real enemies of our soul. And because of these kashaya, the soul suffers a lot. Most of the time, the suffering is due to these kashaya. Then there are no kashaya or quasi patience, which are not as serious as kashaya, but at the same time, they also make the soul to suffer. And there are 9 of these. One is hashya or laughter, you're joking or something like this. This is again not desirable activity. Rati or indulgence, you like something or you have a strong liking for something, gratification and so on. Then arati, dissatisfaction, dislike. You dislike something or somebody. Sukh or sorrow. Then bhaya or fear. Jugupsa is aversion or disgust. And 3 ved, which are sexual desire of various kinds. You might have sexual desire for male, female, or a neutral gender. These are the 3 versions of ved. And these, they are very detrimental to the purity of the soul. And when one is actuated by patience or quasi-patience, that is when we are having those kind of emotions, emotions of anger or greed or fear or something like this, or emotions of quasi-patience, you like something very happy, dislike, you are very unhappy and so on. All these things, when they are there takes place influx of conduct diluting karma. So you attract conduct diluting karma, and conduct diluting karma is the one which prevents you to have a good conduct or pure conduct, or that kind of conduct which will not bind karma. So this is very important. The examples are ridiculing a right fate in others, deride those in distress or misery, laughter, association with men or women of disgust and ignoble character, feeling or liking for others, behaving with hatred, feeling intense attachment towards persons of opposite sexes. All these incidences, all these happenings, will attract conduct diluting karma. The next is Ayu Karma. Ayu Karma, as I said in the last class also, decides the form of life and the duration of that life, or the period of, or you can call lifespan, in the next birth. Most of the karmas, are such that they show their effects in this life as well as in future lives. The Ayu Karma is especially bound for one life, only for one life, and then only the very next life. I said that now it decides the form of existence in the next life. There are the Jainism defined 4 different kinds of forms, different class of forms rather. One is, a soul takes birth in hell. So we call then the hellish beings are called infernal beings. Or the soul can be born as a heavenly being, as a dev, or it can be born as a human being or as an animal. So these 4 are broad categories of living beings. How a particular form is being born? Say for example, infernal beings. A soul will be born in hell, in the next birth, when the soul is inflicting excessively pain and attachment, constant cruel activities, killing, harming something, damaging or hurting somebody physically, damaging the parts. These are all cruel activities. Or misappropriation of others' property. You misappropriate others' property and assume it as if it is yours when it is not. So all these kinds of activities, which are condemnable, in fact, even society or even as per law, will bind karma so that the one takes place or takes birth in hell. And what happens in hell, need not to say. How much soul suffers in hell is known to everyone. Then soul will take birth as an animal or a vegetarian form if the soul is deceitful, is deceiving others, or lack of good conduct. It's a bad conduct people, as you can see in society, and desire for cheating others and so on, because of for personal gain. You cheat others, or you deceive others, or you have some kind of wicked character, bad character. So that kind of thing, will bond you karma, so that you take birth in the animal or vegetable form in the next birth. Then how do you born in the human life? If you must, obviously you must have good character. Slight injury, there may be situations when you injure other beings, but very slightly. You are not able to resist that, slight attachment, only some. We all have attachment, but it must be very slight. Natural mildness, you must be humble person. Humility, you must have that property, that quality. Gentle dispositions, excellent behavior, slight patience. Patience cannot be limited all of a sudden. Everybody has patience, but if that must be of slight degree. Freedom from distressful disposition at death. This is very important, What is your disposition at the time of death also determines, what will be the next birth, So death is given a great importance in Jainism, as the birth is. When a child is born in any family, how cheerful people are. But as a person, the person who is taking birth, for him, he is not aware of that cheerfulness which the family is having. But at the time of that, the person is aware. And so he should have a cheerful disposition, a good disposition at the time of death. And this is an art, about which we'll discuss in one of the later lectures. And austerities. Sorry, I was. Yes. So I was talking about the distressful disposition at death. Then other things are gentleman. He is a very gentle person by nature. In other words, is compassionate. He has a compassion towards others, kind towards others, love others. He has affection for others. He is an honest person. He is a truthful person. Such qualities will lead a soul in human life in the next birth. So we are all human beings, for example, at present, So we must have had such qualities in our last life. Then only we have taken this human form in this life. Then the next one is a heavenly birth. The soul takes birth in heaven. That is considered to be very good, because there you have all the pleasure and all the blissfulness, for example. For that, the qualities must be right belief. You must have a right belief. You should not have a wrong belief. Restraint from attachment. You are not attached to anything. Asakti is very bad. Self-restraint. So he is able to exercise restraint on his senses, on his mind. And liberation from karmas in involuntary mental by austerities. Such people who are doing tapasya or doing sadhana and having an austere life, such persons will go to heaven the next birth. So this is very important, that you are building your own future. What will be your future in the next birth, you decide in this birth. So it makes you aware that how should you behave yourself. Then the sixth is Nam Karma. It's, as I told you, it's an extremely interesting principle because it matches, or it has a parallel with what science is teaching us nowadays, that how the body is built and how this body is maintained, and how different kind of disorders are taking place in the body, and all these things are explained with the help of working of genes and DNA and so on. But Jainism, is a very amazing thing now, that all these things have been described in Jainism right from beginning, that Nam Karma is the one which builds the physique. It's a physique making karma. So, and it is divided into 93 classes. We are not going to go in details of these 93 classes. But in short, it builds the body. Okay, the formation of chief and secondary parts, the binding of various parts and tissues, molecular interfusion, structure of the body, joints, and etc. Everything is decided by Nam Karma. Here, if the crooked activities and deception cause influx of inauspicious physique making karma, that is, if a soul is a crooked nature and is deceiving others and similar activities, then in the next birth you will have inauspicious physique. It may be handicapped person or other kind of disorders or deficiencies will there in the body. Then a straightforward activity, honesty, candor, such qualities cause influx of auspicious body making karma. That means if you have such qualities, in the next life your body will be good. You will be a handsome personality or beautiful personality or otherwise charming personality and so on. And good physique, without any deficiency. Then we have Gotra Karma. The Gotra Karma determines the status. And this is of two kinds. The one determines high status, that is, and other determines the low status. High status here means normally that you are born in a noble family, a good family, so that you have a good status and you get good environment. And so it must be a prestigious family, a respectable family. So family makes your status. That is the meaning, here. So you have a good status if you have a good family. And the other one is low status. That means you take birth in a family which has a low status. So such karmas are attracted when you are censoring others. You are, making self-praise, and you look down on others or others' qualities, and you proclaim noble qualities which are not present in oneself. You assume yourself or proclaim yourself to be a good, noble person when you are actually not. So such kind of self-praise will give you birth in the low status in the next life. Then birth in a high status, the opposite qualities like modesty, humility, appreciating what is noble in others, etc. Such qualities will bind karma which gives birth in the high status. Then Vedaniya karma are again of two types. One was called as Sata Vedaniya, another called Asata Vedaniya. Sata Vedaniya will give you pleasant life or pleasant feeling, and Asata Vedaniya will give you unpleasant feeling and unpleasant life. The influx of Sata Vedaniya karma is caused by compassion towards living beings, charity, asceticism, contemplation, equanimity, and lack of greed. And the influx of Asata Vedaniya karma is caused due to suffering, your own suffering, sorrow, agony, mourning, injury, and lamentation in oneself. Your own self is also not good, or others, All these experiences of pain and suffering are results of passions like anger, greed, etc. So all these things happen because there are passions acting in you. Well, we have discussed about karmas here, and we know then how the various kinds of karmas are born and what are their effects on the soul. Question is the karma deciding our destiny, or there is something else? Well, this is a big question. So it's not true that the karma decides. The karma is the only factor that decides our destiny. There are 5 factors, in fact, which will decide our destiny. This is important. I will discuss briefly here. One is the power of the soul, Swabhav. So your own nature determines is one of the factor to decide destiny. Circumstances another factor. Now what is not in our control, such government policies or natural phenomena. All these things are not in our control. So they have nothing to do with our karma, and therefore they behave as a factor as far our destiny is concerned. Time is another factor. Time is very important in our life. It is that when the time comes, things happen. That people say like that. The time is a factor. So there are bad times and there are good times in the life, and the time becomes one factor. Karma is one factor I already discussed with you, and I will not go into the details. And the last one is the free will or the soul initiative. This is very important. The soul is free to act. It's not bound by karma. Of course, the karma exerts the influence on the soul, but the soul is very powerful. It may not come under the influence of the karma. I have a free will. I can act freely, and I can defend karma. Not only that, I can shed karma. I can destroy karma. This is the power of the soul. This is known as a purusharth. And all Tirthankars, particularly Bhagavan Mahavir, has particularly emphasized this aspect of purusharth. Look here, you have all the powers to oppose or defend yourself, to oppose the activities or influences of karma and so on. So in nutshell, I would like to say that you make your own future. You must be sure about it and be confident that you can make your future. Thank you very much.